94 million Americans admit to smoking pot.
The United States is going to pot. We're going to talk about it today on the season premiere
of Rob and Tristan's Foster Life.
Quiet on the set. Cue Rob and Tristan. Roll tape. Ready in 5. The conversation starts now.
It is a new year here at Rob and Tristan's Foster Life, and it's our season premiere. We're talking about the United States, and they're going to pot. I mean, we have now 11 states that have legalized marijuana use recreationally, and most of the states, the majority of the states, have legalized it for medical use, including Missouri, which is pretty conservative, if you want to, especially where we live here. And we've even seen that in the news with. So our dispensaries have been a little behind in opening up. We're up in St. Louis, where it's a little bit more liberal. They've been up and running for a while, and people.
Well, there's only so many, people that can actually apply and get accepted to even have a dispensary.
Right. Yeah, and they have some pretty big expectations. You have to have $1 million in your account that you don't touch and you save and all this kind of stuff. So there's lots of regulations that you have to follow.
And then you have to pay a certain amount just to apply, but then if you don't get accepted, then that money's just gone, is what I heard.
Yeah, so there's a lot of different things out there. But we're going to talk about what do we do with foster parents. It's being legalized recreationally, and do we really want to
have that with our kids?
Yeah, have that with our kids, and we're taking them out of houses where parents are using drugs, and then we're bringing you into houses and parents are using drugs. So we want to talk about that today and break it down, and I think we're going to have a really good conversation because we don't all agree. So how was your
time to find that out?
Yeah. So how was your New Year so far?
Oh, pretty good. It's going a lot better than I thought it would.
Yeah.
Got a new house. Enjoying that.
Yeah, that's awesome. And is your New Year going good so far?
It's going great.
It is?
It is, yep. My senior is wrapping up his senior year. He's on the downhill slide.
Yeah. Cindy McDaniel, a lot of you know her. She is our expert on the show, and she is a permanent fixture in 2020 of the show, and now you're in the opening credits and everything. I mean, it's just like it's taken off.
Yeah.
So she's here every week with us and exploring that. So did you see what I committed to this year?
I did. I was actually very astonished whenever I saw the post on Facebook.
Yeah.
I'm very nervous about it.
I am too. I committed to our viewers to lose 130 pounds on our show this year. And so I've started, and I'm down 30 pounds. We know that. So I have 100 left to go. And we're not going to reveal any diet or anything until I've lost it. And the reason why I wanted to do that is because I don't want to get people off track. If somebody has started a program this year and they're working on something, whether it be keto or, there's so many different programs out there. Slim Fast, and then there's Weight Watchers, and there's all these things. So I wanted to make sure that I was successful at what I'm doing, and then at the end of that, for $15.95 or something. No, I'm kidding. And then we'll tell you how I did it and how I went about it and that type of thing. But I am going to weigh every 30 days live right here on Rob and Tristan's Foster Life. Now, the reason why I wanted to do this is sometimes when we're in the foster community, especially as foster parents, we have stressful situations that come up. And so I quit smoking 4 years ago. I haven't had a cigarette in 4 years. And I did it cold turkey. But what I really found was I kind of traded that vice for a new vice. And I need to learn how to just deal with stress and anger and sadness and all of those things instead of eating or smoking. And basically I just trade. But I think that there's a lot of other people in the foster community. This is a stressful
Just parenting.
job.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you are, we are parenting, but we are really servants or like missionaries. And you're serving, and it can be really kind of stressful. And so I just thought that it would be cool if I could get healthy and watch people watch me get healthy, and maybe it will inspire other foster parents or workers or
even a family to just be healthier.
right, yeah, or even a foster child. Sometimes we get
so many of the
children
kids come
that are
eating disorders of some sort. So
Yep.
if we can lend some help and support there.
Yep, so we're going to be tracking it this year on Robin Tristan's foster life. And I'm scared because you guys are going to film this, and what if I don't lose? I've done good out of the gate so far, but oh, geez. So I'm a little scared, but I should have it off by the end of our year.
Tell you what, if you're behind on the goals that you're setting yourself, I'll go ahead and start doing the diet also with you.
Oh.
Keep you stern on that diet plan.
All right, that's
Right here first.
Yeah, right here. When we come back today, we're going to talk about marijuana and the foster community right after this.
Tomorrow's a super busy day. I have a court case review hearing at court with a friend. I have a meeting at the studio. I should figure that out. Want to dance. There's tomorrow's show. Run that long. Remember the grocery store? I'm your mama. The only way I can keep track of my day is to plan ahead.
So excited to be back in 2020 with Robin Tristan's Foster Life. We have an amazing year coming. We're going to talk about a lot of different topics. We have a big tour that's coming up this summer. We're just excited to be here. But today, I want to talk about marijuana. In January, now we have 11 states that have recreational use of marijuana, and then most of our states, the majority of the states, have medical use of marijuana, and that leads to the subject, what about the foster community? Are we going to let foster parents toke it up and take care of the kids in state's custody, or do we need to do something about that? But I'm going to tell you right out of the gate how I feel, because I always do. So I feel like if we're taking kids out of homes where parents are using drugs, and then we bring them into a foster home where foster parents are using drugs, what kind of example are we setting for these kids that have already been in these homes that have bad ramifications from parents using drugs? And so I don't think that we really should be having foster homes using marijuana. What do you think?
Well, I think we're in a transition period where,
What do you mean transition period?
well, I think that for one thing, we have talked a lot on this show about substance abuse and recovery and things like that.
Yeah.
And one of the number one thing that our expert on the show said is that we have to be honest with kids. Age appropriate, but honest. So let's really describe and define what drugs is.
Yeah, I don't know if I like saying it, but there's got to be like a classification of drugs nowadays.
Well, so you guys don't think
we're-
marijuana's a drug?
No.
Well,
Well,
it alters my my thinking and all of that kind of stuff. Come on, I was 20 once. I used to use marijuana once in a while.
I think because we have legalized it for medicinal purposes, that is a game changer. I mean, I think that changes the classification. I think it changes the understanding of people and how they believe that it affects you.
Well, I think just legalizing it for medicinal purposes shows that it's a drug, because that's what they're using it for. They're using it for anxiety, vomiting, all kinds of stuff.
Well, I mean, we have to think about how they're going to be using it in the home with foster kids, I would think.
They're going to use it with the foster kids?
Not with them, but with the foster
Well, and I
kids in
think
the
we
same
also
house.
we have to be clear about, are we talking about illegal drugs or are we talking about legal drugs? Because illegal drugs, for somebody that's a substance abuser, they may be using cocaine, they may be using heroin, they may be using prescription drugs that aren't prescribed to them. There's a different classification now than what we had 20 years ago when you were, you were in high school 20 years ago.
No.
Right. Okay, so let's just get that clear.
30 years ago.
But I think there's just a different classification that we're talking about now.
But here's the thing. So if I have a mom and she's misusing her oxycodone or she's misusing her Xanax, and so then we'll take the kids into care.
Right.
Well, if we have that parent who's smoking weed from the time that they get up until the time they go to bed at night and not taking care of their kids, aren't we going down that same road as the Xanax and the Oxycontin and all of
Well,
that
if
stuff?
they're doing that every day and not taking care of the kids, then they need to be rethinking fostering children. I mean, you have to, whenever they go in to foster children, they're thinking like, yeah, I'm going to be attentive, I'm going to be taking care of these kids. So those people are not going to be smoking throughout the whole day. They'll smoke like once maybe the kids are gone to bed.
Well, and the other thing is, if we're talking about, let's just use Missouri because that's where we are.
Right.
If you're smoking all day, morning till night, that's not for medicinal purposes. That's still illegal in Missouri. So yeah, you can get your kid taken for that.
Mm-hmm.
And you're not going to be able to reunify if you're still having that behavior.
Okay, so let's put a different spin on it. We have a judge right here in Missouri, and he says he doesn't care if it's approved for medicinal purposes, recreational purposes, whatever purpose. If the parents are still smoking pot, they're not going home.
Well,
And the law says that if they have the medical marijuana card, that they can smoke the pot.
Right. So I disagree with that judge.
So what do we do?
Well, I think we have to think about what policies and procedures that the state of Missouri licensing of foster parents is going to implement, how we're going to help foster parents understand, have knowledge of what this new topic is all about, and then we have to follow the procedures of the state. I mean, that's what we have to do.
Well, the thing that concerns me, and we're gonna talk more about this when we come back. The thing that really concerns me is these people are out there saying that marijuana is a plant and that we should be able to smoke it and do it and whatever, and we have these foster communities, but also cocaine is a plant. And are we going to... No, I'm being serious. 10 years from now, are we going to say, oh, the marijuana thing worked out really good for the states? It increased revenues by $1 billion in each state. So now are we going to do cocaine too?
Well, we'll talk about that when we come back.
4 years ago, I had major surgery, and I decided at that time I was going to quit smoking. And I quit smoking cold turkey, but I kind of feel like I traded one addiction for another addiction. Although I was successful and I've not had any cigarettes in the last 4 years, I noticed that I started eating a lot more, and depending on food, when I had anxiety, stress, good times, bad times. I think the hardest thing for me is I've kind of watched myself become bigger over the last 4 years. So when I had that surgery, I was wearing a medium-sized shirt, and now I wear a double extra large shirt. When I had that surgery, I was in a size 30-30 jeans, and now I wear a size 37-30 jeans. And so I've watched myself become this bigger person, and I don't think your weight identifies you, but it definitely has health effects on you. The interesting thing is there's a lot of bigger, beautiful people in this world. And, beauty defines you on the inside, outside. There's so many ways that beauty can define you. But people will come up to me and they'll say, oh my gosh, you have gained so much weight. Or sometimes when we're in the studio, I'll feel it makes me feel a little bit uncomfortable because I'll say, now make sure that camera is directly on Rob so that you don't see that weight in his belly. Or Rob, make sure to pull down your shirt because we want to make sure that that looks flat so that you don't see any weight there. Sometimes we have to put props in front of me on my television show just because we're trying to hide this belly. And if you notice on Rob and Tristan's foster life, I always wear black. Sometimes I'll see people that I haven't seen in a long time and they'll question if my health is okay because I've had health problems in the past and they'll think that I'm dying or that I've gained all of this weight because of medications that I'm on and that type of thing. And the truth of the matter is I just eat too much and I'm probably not eating correctly and I'm not getting the exercise that This year I turned 50 and in the last 4 years I've seen a lot of things with my health change. I know that it's harder for me to breathe. Like if I go up and down the stairs, sometimes I'm winded. I've noticed that I can't walk as much without aches and pains, and that has to do with weight. And then I have a disease called TRAPS, and it's a rare fever disease. But I've noticed that we have a lot more outbreaks because I've gained more weight, and it's just more for my body to handle. And so I'm just not as healthy. And so I thought this year I turned 50. Actually, in just a couple of weeks I turned 50. And I thought I've always wanted to live to be 100. And that's my goal. I really want to live to be 100. I feel like if I live to be 100, my youngest daughter will be 53 years old, and she should be well on her way, and I'll be able to see a lot with my kids and spend a lot of time with my family and friends and kids. So that's the goal, is to live to be 100. But I'm not going to live to be 100 with being overweight the way I am. I'm 130 pounds. My name is Rob with Rob and Tristan's Foster Life, and I want you to join me this season on my journey to lose 130 pounds. In a country that has turned to pot, we're breaking it down today and we're talking about. So before we did this show, I kind of went to the States and have recreational use of marijuana. And the only state that I'm not even really okay with it, but I'm more okay with it than the other states. So most of the states that have recreational use of marijuana, they have to sign a waiver just like we do on the smoking, that you're not going to use it in front of them. The kids, you're going to not talk about it, and if you're at a party or at a family gathering where people are just openly smoking marijuana, that you'll remove those kids out of there and they'll go home. Whatever. And then California, they have kind of a cool little deal going there for our California people that are watching. So even for drinking alcohol, if you're drinking at home or you have foster kids with you and you're drinking, somebody over the age of 21 has to be sober in that home or wherever you're at. And the same rule applies for marijuana use.
I think that's responsible parenting.
Yeah, I really like that.
So that way, if anything were to happen, they know that there is somebody over the age of 21 that can transport, that can take care of, and can handle any situation that comes about. And I like that better than
I like it because
just signing the thing.
Yeah, say it's later in the night and one of them decides to smoke and isn't able to drive or something. Well, then that other parent can go and pick up the child and come back to the house.
Right. You know, in the 70s, we never thought that marijuana was ever going to be legal. And I think, you know, the thing that really bothers me is So now we're kind of stretching our morals and our values, and we have legalized marijuana. So how long is it until we have legalized cocaine?
That's just totally different.
Totally
I feel like
different.
it's
How is
totally
it
different.
totally different?
Well, one of the things that it is getting skewed in the mix of this
Yeah.
is that some states are only for medicinal purposes. Now, some states have legalized for recreational, but the majority of these states are for medicinal purposes. And I
Right.
think we have to remember that the THC levels in medicinal marijuana is much lower, so people aren't using that to get high. They're using it for true medicinal purposes.
Well, so if they're not using it to get high, so what does it do for their anxiety and to sleep and not vomit? No, you have to be high to not do those things?
Well, it's the THC is different
Yeah,
than
it's
what
generalized to help with the accommodation of whatever you're dealing
whatever
with.
that diagnosis is.
Um,
And so I think we have to think about that. I think that we also have to think about how, there's always going to be people who push the envelope.
Well, I think what we really got to think about is that these people are smoking marijuana for medicinal purposes. Should they really be taking care of our kids? Are they healthy enough to be doing that?
That is one thing that I question too. I mean,
Well, that's why we have our foster parents do physicals.
yeah.
medical
Yeah, but
physicals.
how many doctors just kind of breeze through that? My doctor just
Well, I would
goes
hope
through
that they
there
would.
and she just kind of goes through and she does the form and sends it off, and I'm a foster parent, and I'm ready to
Maybe
go.
we need to be cracking down on the people doing the physicals then.
Very good.
Yeah.
So,
Well, I don't think that you're going to change my mind about using marijuana in the foster community. I just think that it has a lot of negativity that can actually foreshadow onto the kids that we're taking care of.
well,
And that's our number one concern, right?
Well, let's look into Canada. What are
Right.
they doing in Canada?
so Canada has a foster care system much like ours here in the United States.
Really?
And yes,
We have lots of you Canadians watching. You're the second largest audience that we have.
so they have both legalized recreational and medicinal marijuana, and they have lower numbers of kids in foster care.
Really?
Let's see if that'll change your mind, Rob.
I don't know. You Canadian people, you need to weigh in and tell me what your thoughts are. You know what was interesting is I'm a part of a lot of foster parent support groups around the country, and so I guess I kind of thought, being Rob, that Colorado, California, and Washington, just because they're more of a less conservative, so to speak, I thought that they would just be like, yeah, foster parents just smoke pot and everything. It is very, very controversial in those states, and I am so sorry, but I asked one little question and I started some real big arguments back and forth, and it got pretty in depth, but I cannot believe how controversial it is. There is a lot of foster parents that feel like me, but there's a lot of foster parents out there that think, I met a guy that lives in Washington. If you're watching, hey, I mean, I have nothing against, I'm not going to judge, but he grows it, he sells it, he uses it, and he fosters 5 kids, and he says, and I'm damn good at it. And he probably is.
Yeah. Well, I think the important thing that we have to remember is we have to make sure that our state legislatures and our policy writers
Yeah.
are addressing these issues. Because these are big issues, these are big questions that are unanswered
Yeah.
right now. Like, how is this being addressed? How, as a foster parent, do you have a medicinal marijuana card and still foster?
Yeah.
That's a legitimate question that I think we have to make sure that our policyholders, our policymakers, are making sure that
Well, I
it's
almost
being
wonder if
addressed.
we've even pulled the gun too soon before even thinking about all this.
I think that's a really good point. I mean, I maybe so, because what is the policy?
Right.
It seems to be pretty vague, and when we ask the question on Foster TV's Facebook page,
Yep.
the responses that we get are really, really varied.
Yep.
I mean,
I'm going to be traveling coast to coast this summer, the whole summer. I'm going to be almost in every state. And if you would like to sit down with me and the policy makers in your state, we would love to invite you to a luncheon where you can come and talk about this topic, because I don't think that it's really hammered out in these states. And like Colorado, for instance, you have to be 21 to buy cigarettes after the Trump bill that he signed at the beginning of the year, but you only have to be 18 to buy marijuana in Colorado. So the joke is in Colorado that if teenagers are smoking cigarettes, that they hurry put those out and light up a joint because it's legal. And so I think a lot of this stuff hasn't been thought through, but this summer we would like to open those conversations with the lawmakers and the policymakers for the foster care system in these states so that we can get safeguards in place for the kids, because our number one concern is always the youth, and I just want to make sure that we're setting the best example for them.
So if we have anybody out there that does want to have those encounters with Rob and Tristan when they're out on the road, just reach out to us.
Yep.
Because we'll be all
Well,
over.
you're going to be on the road too, sister. So we'll be back right after this. Conversation, and we made it out alive, or I made it out alive.
I think we still have a lot more to talk about on that.
Oh my gosh, I guess so. It's an interesting topic, and there's so many different aspects that we couldn't even get through it in our show. But hopefully we started a good conversation, and people will be talking about it in their upcoming meetings in their states.
I know
and
we
stuff.
will be talking about it.
Oh yeah, I'm sure that we will. We did a story last year on Gypsy Blanchard, and that still gets hated in our green room all the time, and we've had heated discussions over that multiple times.
I'm surprised you even said that name, because after this show we may have to have a discussion.
Oh jeez, our producer is shaking her head. No, we are not having a discussion today. So we just wanted to do, we have a lot of viewers in Tennessee, but also this little girl has been missing for quite some time, and there's an Amber Alert that has just come out for, what's the girl's name?
Evelyn Boswell is the baby's name.
So Evelyn Boswell, you'll see her right here on your screen. And the reason why it was important for Foster TV to cover this, the little girl hasn't been seen since December 26th. They just recently did the Amber Alert for her. And I just thought in the time that has lapsed, this child could be anywhere. I mean, this child could be in California, New York, anywhere. It doesn't necessarily have to be for Tennessee, but also we have so many viewers in Tennessee and so many people that support us. And we don't care what the backstory is. There's a lot of things that are being said in the media. All we care about is that this child has not been seen for the last 2 months. She is adorable, as you can see, and we just want to find her and make sure that she is safe and okay, and we get all of this worked out so that for the best interest of the child. And that's the only reason that we bring that up today. But there has been an Amber Alert that has gone out in Tennessee. The child has not been seen since December the 26th. Her name is
Evelyn Boswell.
Evelyn Boswell. And if you have seen this child, or even you think that it looks like this child, hair grows really quick for children at this age. And if you even suspect and your gut says something's fishy, call law enforcement locally. And she is 15 months old. And again, here's her picture up on our screen right now. If you have seen Evelyn Boswell, please contact your local law enforcement. We hope that she comes back safely to where she needs to be. All right, so our bags are continuing this year. We want to give away 50,000
Yes.
of our bags. And this is our small bags. This is the ones that we use for toiletries. I'll never forget our buddy Summer. When we did her interview, she said something about her toothbrush being with your socks and who wants to use their toothbrush. And that is so true. And so this is just the toiletry bag that we use for deodorant and toothpaste and brush and all that kind of stuff. And then we have the bigger bags that are like laundry sacks, and that's what we use for their clothes and things. In those laundry sacks, because some people don't get kind of the gist of them from the TV, you can put 3 large black trash bags in one of those laundry sacks. So it accommodates quite a bit of clothes. What we want to do this year, what the goal is for Tristan and I is, one, to make it illegal for them to use trash bags and Walmart sacks to move. Oklahoma, my hat's off to you. I don't have a hat on, but if I did, my hat's off to you because Oklahoma's already done this. And we talked to the lady that's like in charge of that in Oklahoma last year when we were on tour, and I just think it's amazing that we already have a state that does it. And your state might do that. If they do, make a comment here so that we can make sure to reach out to you, because we want to go to Washington and just get it eliminated. And then we felt if we could get 50,000 bags through sponsorships, corporate sponsorships, people sponsorships or family sponsorships, and do it that way, that's 1,000 bags that could go to each state. So that way kids, we're actually providing the first bags, and then hopefully there will be grants and things that are available in the years to come so that they're not moving with Walmart sacks and trash bags. I think we had a good kickoff for the show this year. It's good to have, it's good to have everybody back. I know we're going to have lots of guests on the show this year, lots of good things to come. And if you think of a topic that you would like us to talk about, make sure to let us know. But also, when we're asking questions on Foster TV, you'll see there's been questions recently about whether we should have homework for kids in school. There's been all sorts of questions. What we're doing is we're putting bait out there to see how many people nibble and bite on that. The other one was going to a 4-day school week and the pros and cons of that. Those are all show ideas that we're going to be addressing this year, and so that's how we get that information. All right, we'll see you coming up in just a couple of days right here.
Help support Foster TV. Go to fostertv.net and make a donation today. Foster TV's My Story is a Hedfra production, only on Foster TV.